Happy Sunday. You're watching Philadelphia 76ers now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of you have had a fantastic weekend. Here's what we have cooking up on today's show. Injury update on Georges Niang on the final day of the regular season. Danny Green, is he going to be the playoff starter ahead of Matisse Thybulle? Joel Embiid did it again against the Indiana Pacers. He now is the official scoring leader, first center to do so since 1999-2000, dating back to Shaquille O'Neal with the Los Angeles Lakers. We'll also take a look at the Sixers playoff picture. Stay tuned. It's going to be an awesome show. I do want to get to this trivia question, and later on today's show, I'm going to reveal the answer. Who holds the single-season points record in the history of the Philadelphia 76ers? Let me know in the comments section. Allen Iverson, Wilt Chamberlain, Charles Barkley, or Julius Erving. In a few moments, I'll give you the answer to that trivia question. We start off with Georges Niang. Injury with him, not expected to be all too serious. Thankfully, according to Doc Rivers, dealing with patella tendinopathy. How about that for a word? In his left knee. Missed Saturday's game in that win against the Indiana Pacers. Final score 133-120. And if the Sixers were to go on a long stretch without Georges Niang, it would severely impact their depth, their floor spacing, and his overall ability on both ends of the floor to impact games as a reserve. This year, really good season for him. 9 points per game, nearly 44% shooting, and north of 40% from downtown. Doc Rivers, when asked about the injury update on Georges Niang, he said, no, nothing serious, just a precaution. If this were a playoff game, George would be playing tonight. So really, that tendinopathy sounds actually worse than it is. That's great news for Philadelphia because all year, Georges Niang has been great. Started off the season hot, hit a little bit of a cold spell, but really since that James Harden trade, he's emerged as a great three-point shooter and floor spacer for this Philadelphia offense. And the deal that Daryl Morey signed him to this past year in NBA free agency, a great value deal for Philadelphia considering everything that he brings to the floor and his importance. 2 years, $6.7 million. That has been a steal. So Georges Niang, when the playoffs get underway, we'll see who the Sixers take on. Playoff picture coming up a little bit later. Not going to be out for a long time for Philadelphia. To the starting lineup, as we were talking about a reserve in Georges Niang. Danny Green, is he going to be the starter ahead of Matisse Thybulle? Now, if it's a 4-5 matchup between the Sixers and the Toronto Raptors, because of the vaccination status for Matisse Thybulle, he will be unable to play in games in Toronto. Now, he missed that Toronto game 2 games ago, and that's why Danny Green started ahead of him, but also Danny Green got the start against the Indiana Pacers as well. He fared well in both of those games. 18 points against the Raptors, 5 assists, 6 of 9 from the field, 5 of 7 from downtown. Against Indiana, he was once again really good. 15 points, 5 boards, 5 of 11, 4 of 10 from deep. Now that he's a little bit older, he's not the premier defender that he once was, but he gives you that corner 3 shot. He gives you some floor spacing as well, a guy who's not scared to rise up and take shots and knock down some threes, but also a heady basketball player who is also a pretty solid defender at this point. Now, if you get these types of numbers from Danny Green, like he put forward against Toronto and the Indiana Pacers, give me playoff Danny, baby. For real, though, the floor spacing is critical for the Sixers offense, especially with how James Harden has been struggling. And honestly, I threw this out on my Twitter page at Chase_Senior. If you want to give me a follow, James Harden right now is like the 4th best scoring option for Philadelphia behind Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris. So if he continues to struggle, that's when guys like Danny Green have to step up. That's when a guy like Georges Niang will have to knock down some of those threes. And if Danny Green does get the start ahead of Matisse Thybulle, it gives you more offensive pop as compared to the Thybulle. He's a great defender, one of the best wing defenders in the NBA. He can be really a liability offensively, can Matisse Thybulle. That's where Danny Green enters the equation. Now, if you want to give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram, at Chase_Senior, be sure to hit me up. Always bringing you the best Sixers takes on my Twitter feed. Cover the NFL and college football here at Chat Sports. So feel free to interact with me. Slide in my DMs as well. Next up, we're going to get to Joel Embiid and him going off against Indiana, officially locking down the scoring title, first center to do so since Shaquille O'Neal in 2000. We're also going to break down the Sixers playoff picture, but first, answer to that trivia question from earlier. Who'd you go with? Was it Dr. J? Was it The Answer? Was it Charles Barkley or Wilt Chamberlain? Wilt Chamberlain is the correct answer. 1965, 1966, he recorded 33.5 points per game and an astounding 24.5 rebounds per, leading the league in both categories and earned his second MVP. He finished that year with a franchise record 2,649 points. So while there have been some bucket getters in the history of this illustrious and great franchise, Wilt Chamberlain, the most points in a single season. This is why you subscribe to the channel. We're bringing you latest Sixers news and rumors, trivia questions. We like to have fun with the audience, mailbags occasionally. We'll be going live for some playoff watch parties as well. Don't miss it. Hit that red subscribe button down below. We're a little less than 300 people away from 6,000 subs. When you watch Joel Embiid right now, he's truly doing one-of-one stuff. It's a joy to watch him play basketball. We've never seen a center this big, this athletic, this gifted, be as dominant as he is on both ends of the floor and have the offensive package to his game. Joel Embiid right now has the physical domination of Shaquille O'Neal. He's smooth in the post like Hakeem Olajuwon, but his ability and the want to add to his offensive arsenal really has been terrific the last couple of years. That's a big reason why he finished second in MVP voting last year, and this year he's in the running to win Most Valuable Player. He's added elements to his game that gives you shades and a taste of Kevin Durant, as well as Kobe Bryant. The shakedown off the dribble, the fadeaway, the turnaround jumper, the baseline, elbow, three-point shot, the pump fake, getting to the cup with the Euro step. What he's doing right now and what he's done this year is just simply magnificent. And it was on full display against the Indiana Pacers in one of his last efforts to tell everybody out there, okay, you can talk about the Joker or Giannis as MVP, but I am the most valuable player. A 41-piece against Indiana, 20 rebounds, 14 of 17 from the floor, and 2 of 2 from deep. Now, I've explained my thoughts on Joel Embiid and how gifted he is. Rick Carlisle, head coach of the Pacers, he's with me. We haven't seen a guy like this in the history of the league who has this kind of power and skill, Carlisle said after the game. He's able to score on all three levels effortlessly. He's an amazing player, and will be interesting to see what teams do in the playoffs to try to slow him down. And if Joel Embiid is right, if Joel Embiid is playing to his fullest capabilities, the Sixers are going to be a handful in the NBA playoffs. He's going to need an assist and a helping hand from James Harden, who has to be better than he's been over the last couple of weeks. But if Embiid continues to play like he did against Indiana, like he's done for the last 2 years on this unbelievable stretch, the Sixers have a chance to make a deep playoff run. I want to hit you with this question. This is a great question. Who is the better Philadelphia athlete right now? Is it Bryce Harper, whose swag level is unbelievable right now, or is it Joel Embiid? Embrace debate. Let me know in the comments section. Who's better? Who's more impactful? You have Bryce Harper, the defending MVP, who was honored at CBP on Saturday. Then you have Joel Embiid striving for MVP. Let me know who the better Philadelphia athlete is. We round out the show with a look at the NBA playoff picture. Now, keep in mind, this is going into Sunday's regular season finale, and things are so tight in the Eastern Conference. A lot of playoff implications that we're monitoring here on the final day of the regular season. Miami Heat, they locked down that number 1 seed, 53-28. The Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers, all closely tied. Of course, Milwaukee, with that win at the Wells Fargo Center, they have the tiebreaker over Philly. So really, the Bucks, they're going to be ahead of Philadelphia in the standings regardless. What's going down today is going to be interesting. Boston Celtics have to take on the Memphis Grizzlies, 50-31. Philadelphia rounding out the regular season as well with that 50-31 record. You need a Philadelphia win against the Detroit Pistons and a Boston Celtics lose to avoid the Toronto Raptors in that 5th spot in the 4-5 matchup in the first round of the NBA playoffs. If you can get that 3-6 matchup against the Chicago Bulls, I'm saying it right now, folks, I think Philadelphia can sweep Chicago to go to the second round of the NBA playoffs. If they have to take on the Toronto Raptors, that could spell disaster. Ideally, you want the Bulls. Toronto, not a good matchup for the Sixers. They have the coaching edge with Nick Nurse. They're extremely athletic. They can switch at all positions defensively, and because of that, they give the Sixers fits as well as James Harden fits because they put athletic guards on him and athletic wings, and he can't do anything. It seems as though Pascal Siakam always goes off against Philadelphia. The lineup versatility can cause a lot of fits for Philly. So you win against the Pistons, you're hoping for a Celtics loss on TNT against the Memphis Grizzlies. You get that 3-6 matchup, that's great. You get that first-round matchup against Toronto, that could spell disaster, and honestly, would not shock me one bit if Toronto won that playoff series. Prediction time before we hop on out of here. How far will the Sixers go? Joel Embiid, he's the train. Let's all hop on board. Let's follow his lead. Let me know in the comments section. Appreciate all of you for making today's show part of your day, and don't forget to subscribe.